What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. This is the Friday call-in show, the live show, the community show. Wherever y'all want to take it, I'm here with one of my favorite people, Rajiv. We're talking Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, the Friday live show, day before Illinois. Rajiv, how are we feeling? How's the confidence meter, man?
I mean,
Rajiv meter.
Listen, my confidence was just shaken after last week, as any Badger fan had, just a confidence shaker. But I'm feeling okay, actually. After looking at Illinois' stats and looking at what they've done this year, they haven't really played that well. They did beat Maryland last week. Honestly, had they not beaten Maryland, I would have predicted a blowout just because they're that bad. But they did beat a decent Maryland team, and they're sort of figuring things out. I thought the interview you did with the Illinois guy, was it yesterday or today that you released it? That was awesome. Yeah, and I thought he had some really good points about like Illinois is figuring it out, and a lot of the mistakes that they've had, Bret's kind of cleaned those up. So yeah, I'd say my confidence meter is honestly not the strongest right now because we're going to Illinois. The guy that you had on Locked On actually kind of made me a little scared just because I'm thinking, geez, like if they're figuring it out now and they don't make mistakes, are we going to have problems? That being said, still thinking we should be okay because they don't have the defense Iowa has. And, Braedyn Locke with a week of reps, we'll see how it goes.
We are going to talk a lot about Braedyn Locke today, but really, again, this is the community show, so we're going to start bringing the people in. Curtis, Robert, Mark are all in the queue. If anybody in the chat right now, anybody that's joining us live, if you want to join, this is the Friday live show. Someone was asking me about this last week. It's as simple as I put the link into the chat. If you want to jump on the show, that's as simple as it is, man. Jump on, chop it up. Let's talk Badgers. All opinions are welcome in this community. As long as we're respectful, we're all Badger fans. Everybody's welcome here. All right, let's bring Curtis in. Then we'll go Robert and Mark. Curtis, what is up, my friend? Welcome back to the show.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Welcome.
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. So if all opinions are welcome, here's a fun opinion. I don't hate the word elite. Is that bad? Is that allowed?
I mean,
it just doesn't rub me the way it rubs. I mean, I love making fun of PJ Fleck with it, but it's just like, I don't know. There's a level of elite that I could see our team playing at sometimes.
Can I tell you one more just on that? Because, again, the great thing about this show, this is a YouTube-only show. We go a little longer. I'll give you one more because you guys remember when the PJ Fleck leak came out and people, the binder where he makes people clap for him, all that kind of stuff. One of the acronyms people made fun of him for is family, right? He used this family acronym, which means forget about me, I love you. I'd use that when I was coaching. I love that acronym. It's a great acronym because it's all about team. Forget about me. It's all about us. I love you. So when people were clowning him, I was kind of like, this is so corny.
Hey man, together everything means more, okay? Or we accomplish more, or something.
Together everyone accomplishes more.
Yeah,
there you go.
They're all corny. Let's just be honest. They're all kind of corny, right?
They're as corny as you buy into them.
Yes.
They weren't very corny when Cincinnati was going to the playoffs. I'll say that.
That's it, right? Everybody remembers, nobody cares, work harder after that 2017 season. I mean, it sounded great.
What was that? Didn't we had a something for the 2014 basketball team too, didn't we? Or the 15 basketball team?
Make them believe.
Yeah. Make them believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't because we lost to Duke.
Let's not bring that up. Let's not spoil.
Let's go football here. I know
this is not good. I don't want to think about 2015 basketball.
All right, let's talk Illinois. Let's go football. Especially that's Curtis's wheelhouse. Curtis, where are you at on this game? Where's your confidence meter, man?
So I think when I look at Illinois, they're one of those teams that's like they're very much mid. They're mid at everything. But when you play a team like that, they have potential to be to strike at times, like Maryland last week. It reminds me a lot. This Illinois team reminds me. I don't know if you guys remember like the 2008-ish Badger team, where it was like they were very decidedly mid, but every now and then you'd see something that was like, oh wow, that was really good. Maybe there's something to build on there. Maybe we could be a good team eventually, right? And so that's kind of how I look at this Illinois team. They got a quarterback that's got all the tools, but he's still kind of in his head. And then they got a running back that's basically a Braylon Allen clone, which he's not going to fall backwards. We're going to have to get to him and slow him down. And then they got some receivers that can move. So they're not terrible, but nothing they do is great. So like, if for them, if they play their like, best game and they come out and play hard, play well, and we come out and make a lot of mistakes, I'd be pretty nervous. But I think they got that game out last week versus Maryland, and I think they're ready to come back to earth this week.
I want to ask both of you guys this. I'm very curious on this one. I feel like most weeks, and I see people in chat too coming in. I want your takes on this. I feel like a lot of weeks we came out of the game saying Tanner Mordecai, the stats weren't great, but we felt like he managed the game well. Right? I feel like we were all there, and now it feels like we've shifted pretty quickly to collectively as a fan base. I bet you Braedyn Locke could be a little better. I wonder if we're selling short some of the veteran aspects of what Mordecai did with his legs, with handling the snaps, with ball security after week one. I going on the road against still a pretty good defense, with still a center that's kind of iffy, with an offensive line that's still a little suspect. I wonder if we miss Mordecai's legs more than we think we do.
Yeah, I mean, so kind of going at that, and I'll look at it from a couple different perspectives. One, I think I've said this on this show even before. There has been multiple opportunities. I haven't been to most of the home games this year, and sitting in a pretty high vantage point, you can see the routes, you can see the separation. It's there. It's been there all season. Like, the reason you don't see it on the TV is because the TV angles at Wisconsin are atrocious. You can't see anything. They were great when we had Melvin Gordon, but like now they're pretty much useless. But the looks are there. And what I saw from Locke last week is he recognized that. He found the third option. He found the second option. He kept the offense on time and rhythm. One of the things that I think, and this is just a thought that I've had, was that hurts our tempo is just our inability to stay in rhythm. Because when a play breaks down and Mordecai has to scramble or things kind of go sideways, then we're naturally slower. We're off our execution. And I think with Braedyn, you'll see a little bit more of a game managing aspect in terms of moving the ball, distributing it to the people, and doing good there. Not to say that he's not going to make mistakes or he's not still a freshman. I just think that at the core, there's a little bit more of that classical air raid quarterback to him than more of a mobile dual threat kind of guy.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think you're losing some, you're gaining some, right? Like, yes, we're going to miss his legs. Mordecai's legs were great, and he got us out of jams. He's a game manager. He understands the system. He understands college football, and he's played a lot of it. And that experience goes a really long way, right? And yeah, we probably did sell that a little short, but Locke definitely, and Curtis, you said it exactly right. He identifies he looked to identify those plays more. And imagine now with the week of reps, what he can do. Yeah. Also, something that I've said is he throws the deep ball better. He just does. His ball is so pretty. And I just feel like that's what we needed. We have the receivers that can get open. And I said this before, that pass to Chimere Dike, he didn't catch it, but that was a beautiful pass to the back of the end zone. That is exactly what we need him to do. So I feel like he's going to connect with CJ Williams and Bryson Green and Chimere Dike. Now, you do lose the ability to run the ball well, and you do lose some of the experience and decision making, but I think it balances out. I think he does have a bit of a better arm. But look, more than anything else, if the offensive line is not going to do their part, we're not going to win. So that is critical, especially with the guy that doesn't have the experience, right? We need to keep that pocket clean for him, and then I think we can see what Braedyn Locke is all about. But it starts up front, and it's going to end up front.
Yeah.
Well, going into that, the one thing I wanted to say in regards to Illinois' defense, and why I feel a little bit more confident in this game, than the last couple of games we played from an offensive perspective. Their best player on defense is that D tackle. But if we're running smoothly and running a tempo, the first player on the defense to gas out will be the D tackle. And I don't think they have the ends that can, our tackles have been, much maligned this year. They've been struggling. Obviously, they struggled last week. I don't think they have the defensive ends that are really going to, not that they won't cause issues, but we're going to win more matchups than we lose potentially. And I think that's going to allow for, Locke to have some more time to make those decisions. And kind of the last caveat I'll make, just because I went to college watching Bret Bielema defenses, and, I kind of became a Badger fan around that time. I've never seen Bret Bielema able to stop a spread offense, a spread air raid attack in my entire life, not against any team, not even last year. Like they lost to Purdue, they lost to Michigan State when Michigan State threw for a million times in that game. Like they just can't cover those types of teams. Like I've never seen a Bielema team be able to do that, like ever, except for maybe last week. But I think that was more Maryland struggling than anything else.
But are we that team yet, Curtis, though? Like, are we really that? I mean, do we have that? Can we do what he can't stop? That's the question, right?
Well, and I think and that's a fair point, because I think up until this point we haven't really seen us be able to execute at a high level. I just think that with the talent disparity, and I've been kind of riding. I don't want to act like Braedyn's this coming in, or we got to do something about the names. Locke. There's a Braylon and there's a Braedyn. That's been messing me up all week.
Yep.
But I think I just listening to him talk, listening to people talk about him, the poise he showed, the knowledge of the offense, I feel that with Mordecai there was a little bit of he just didn't grasp the system at the level he needed to grasp that to be effective. Maybe he was in his head, maybe he's just so used to some different kind of offense. I'm not sure. It just felt like it never really clicked with him. And when Locke came in last week, I mean, you saw it right away. He was shifting the protections. He was identifying the routes. He was moving the ball. He led our 2 scoring drives. We ended up losing the game. I mean, it's against a great team in Iowa. I'm not trying to downplay that, but
half of his team. Let's be real.
Sure. Great. Like he played decent. And then at the end of the game, his turnovers, I mean, there's not a lot he could have done there. That pick was like the last play of the game. And that, I don't know if you guys watched Dare Raid this week, that blitz where he got basically the safety. I mean, they put our offensive line in a blender on that play. He had no chance.
Yep. Now you want him to hold on to the ball, right? Just
I think he tried to get rid of it or something.
Yeah, but
that's
you're
what
right.
I thought he did. Yeah.
All right, give me.
That's a
I
freshman move.
need to go to Robert. Mark, John's in the queue too, but give me a prediction, Curtis. What's your game prediction for this game?
So I think this game, like I said, I think we're going to come out and I think we're going to execute well. I think that, you're going to see what Braedyn Locke is going to be as a distributor. I think he's going to do a good job of getting the ball out to different people, keeping the tempo moving, keeping the offense moving effectively. My main wild card in this game is Braylon Allen. How is he going to come out? Is he going to play? Is he still dinged up? Is he not dinged up? No one really knows. It's always the week in, week out. But I think that we're going to see, a solid, competent offensive performance. And I think you're going to see Illinois regress to a little bit more of what they've been all season. So, I kind of think we're going to win this game, probably 28-21-ish. And I think maybe you tack an extra point or extra touchdown in garbage time, you come out of Champaign with a solid couple touchdown win.
That'd be awesome. He is Curtis. He is the man. He joins us all the time. Thank you, Curtis.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get Robert on. Rob, welcome back to the show, man. Bringing that high-level sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you
I just got to say it before Ryan Eilers steals it. I'm ready to rock out with my lockout, for this game.
Oh, I love it. That's a great one. There's some confidence in here. You got Mr. King of Troy, 32-13, Wisconsin.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice that we actually scored 30 points? Because, I mean, I'm going to say 24 is what I think we're going to score. But if we break 30 with Braedyn Locke at quarterback, that's a fantastic start
on the
to
road
his time.
Against
that would be amazing.
Not a pushover defense either.
No.
Rob, where are you at going into this game confidence-wise?
I'm hoping I can be confident. I think, like people have said, I think
you're not confident if you're hoping for confidence.
Well, I feel like it's going to be how it starts. I was reading the Badger Notes predictions because Ryan Eilers put it up there, and the one guy said he's going to be doing yard work to start so he doesn't have a brain aneurysm. I was cracking up about that. So if they start out good, because they haven't been able to put a full game together, I mean, the 30 points, they should be able to get it. I'm at 24-17 right now. I always got to make sure there's at least one field goal in there for Vacos, so
that's my score prediction too.
I was just gonna say that you were at 2. So the line on this game, the last one that I saw, so everyone is kind of on the same page, Wisconsin -3 is where I saw the line. I saw the over under at 40.5. So you both have that hitting the over as well. You have it
barely.
On the over. Barely. And you have Wisconsin covering. Bold. Because let me throw this to you guys. I feel like we've talked a lot about Illinois regressing a little bit, and I don't think Illinois is that good, but I don't know if we're that much. I don't know if we're that much better than they are. And talking to the Illinois guy, he's kind of like, yeah, this feels more like 2 teams in the mud wrestling it out, trying to figure it out, and not Illinois having to play a really good game to beat Illinois. In other words.
So I think the difference is like the talent across the board. We're just a little bit better than them at all the positions. So their offensive line has given up 28 sacks in 7 games. 28 sacks. So I feel like James Thompson is going to eat tomorrow because their offensive line is just not there. So I think about CJ Getz. I think about James Thompson. I think about maybe Petroyski. I feel like we're going to get some pressure. And if you look at that across the board, right, their receivers not as good as our receivers. Their defensive line may be about the same, I suppose. Their quarterback, not as good as our quarterback. We don't really know that, but Altmaier's not looked that good so far. So I just feel like that's going to be the difference. Like just unless we make a ton of mistakes, which we could, that's where that difference just comes from because we're a little bit better at all those positions.
I think their defensive line is better than ours.
Yeah, probably.
They have a dude on the defensive line, but I agree with the rest. I do think we are a more talented team, and maybe it's just a cohesiveness thing. It is Bielema's second year with that group. Rob, what is your game prediction here? What do you see happening?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we're stuck in the mud, but I'm hoping with Locke, I think the Dare Raid talked about it, but Locke's footwork is a lot better for this offense, and the timing, I think, could be better. So, you can be stuck in the mud, but if that truck gets some traction, it's going to get going. So that's what I'm hoping for, So that's what I'm looking for. I think I'd like to see Pauling in the backfield, actually. I know in the Discord, people were talking about, some wheel routes, and I think if you're able to kind of throw him in the backfield, get him going on a wheel route, I think that could be looking pretty good there.
Robert, give us a player that you mentioned Pauling a little bit there, but give us a player that you feel like is going to have a great game tomorrow that maybe people aren't talking about.
Well, I think everyone's been talking about Green, but I feel like he could have a good game. I want to see Vinny Anthony. I feel like I've heard a lot about him. They mentioned him in the game last week that he had a lot of speed, and we just haven't seen him be able to use it. I know the last staff was trying to use him on the jet sweeps and everything. Another thing, I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't seen from this team. No jet sweeps this year. I thought that was a good thing in the offense.
It was good. It just used to be overused way too much. But now it would be nice to bring it back a little bit.
Just once.
Just an ode. What a game to break it out, right? Against Bret Bielema, kind of going back to his time at Wisconsin when Paul Chris used to run all those jet sweeps. Yeah. Vinny Anthony would be interesting. And at risk of angering John Berger, who's in the chat, he could provide some of what Keontae Lewis did last year, right? That deep vertical threat potentially as well.
And also I'm surprisingly getting excited for Wisconsin basketball season. I won't talk about it too much because JV will think I'm a traitor, but Greg Gard is still on the hot seat. It's fire Greg Gard if he doesn't do good.
Okay. I love the basketball talk, man. Rajiv and I are chomping at the maybe next week we'll do a basketball preview show. I don't know. It's coming up.
It's coming. Nolan Winter, guys. Nolan Winter's looking good. You've heard me say Nolan Winter. He's my guy in this class. I think he's fantastic. I think he's got so much. His ceiling is so high. This guy is going to be special, and we're seeing little bits of it right now. Could be nothing. Could be something.
Rajiv, you've been all over Nolan. You're the highest one on that. I want to give you a chance, and I know this is not who you think he's going to be, but do you want to talk about the high level comp you had?
I do. I will. And I know this is crazy. People are going to think I'm nuts about this. All I'm saying is when you watch this guy, look, he's an infant in his basketball career, but his fluidity, his ability to shoot from anywhere on the court, he can drive, he can pass, and the way his body moves and how he controls his large frame, he reminds me a little bit of Dirk Nowitzki. I know that's crazy. I know people are going to say Dirk Nowitzki, no way. But if he hits, he has that. That's the way I look at him as far as the skills that he has and how they can all translate if he plays well. I honestly feel like that's the guy that you can compare him to. I'm not saying he's going to be that good. Don't mishear me. But when you look at Dirk's skill set, it's so unique. And I feel like Nolan has that unique skill set. He is so long. He's so fluid. He can handle the ball well. He can shoot the ball well. He's an all-around great player. And I'm extremely excited about seeing him play this year because I think he's going to get more playing time than Ryan thinks he's going to get.
Badgers winning a national title?
Yeah, I'm all for the freshman playing.
Going on Final
That's what
Four
I want to
runs?
see.
Why not? It's Believe with Rajiv on today.
I love the upside of Nolan too. I compared him to more of a John Leward, Channing Frye type of guy, which in the stratosphere of Dirk Nowitzki, it seems a lot worse. Those are both like 12-year NBA pros, right? Like you would take that every day. Both of those are lottery picks. Well, Leward wasn't, but Channing Frye was. So, all right, Rob, I got to get to Mark. I got to get to John. They've been in the queue too.
All right.
But really appreciate it, dude. Come back every week as always. Thank you for reading so active in the Discord as well, man.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
For sure. All right, Mark, what's going on, my friend? Welcome back.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I have a question for you both before we can start. I saw a recruit online saying like in the future will be deadly. I don't remember anyone saying like any recruits saying that.
Saying what?
Like in the past, like recruits have like coming like after this year, we're going to be like really good. Like the offense is going to be good. Like, when was the last time this has happened? Like, recruits, like, praising the offense.
No, it's true. I think it was it Dupree that said that? Once you get Metoyer, Dupree, Stack, when he was talking about when you get all these pieces together, it's going to be.
Yeah.
I like the offensive skill in this recruiting class coming in, man. I like it a lot. And quite frankly, we've seen it this year. They need it. I mean, Rajiv, like, there's a dearth of playmakers right now.
Mark, I mean, you've said it. It's like, it's part of the culture shift, right? It's everything is changing at the school, and we're seeing maybe we were a little bit too excited about the offensive changes and we've come down to earth a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you look at a guy like Tretch, we love Kekahuna. We love him on this show. I've seen him play live down the street. It's amazing. He's just a start of what we're going to see coming down the line now, because Fickell's changing everything. And when you bring in a guy like Longo, it sends a message to your recruits. Okay, we're not the old Wisconsin. We're going to be new. We're going to be inventive. We're going to be creative. We're not going to be predictable. All these things matter, and it just leads people to look at the program and to think, wow, this is a totally changed university, totally changed everything, and that is going to help us year in and year out. We're going to keep getting better, and look, it's all about the skill positions in this sport. And the more of these guys you can bring in, the better chance you have of beating the Michigans and the Ohio States. And we're on that track.
I mean, with the defensive lineman maybe sprinkled in there, if we could get like maybe another defensive lineman sprinkled into that cake mix. But I love the running back groups. I like Kyan Barry Johnson a lot. We love Metoyer. Stack is a stud. By the way, Stack, I don't know if I put this out there. He's up to 6'5", 250 now. Actually, it's funny. I asked him, I'm like, dude, what is it like being 6'5", 250? He's like, nobody really messes with me in school. People don't like me walking behind him, and airplane rides are really bad. That's a huge dude, though. The point is 6'5", 250 with his ability to run and catch. That's a major weapon. So, yeah, I think we all like it. Mark, how are you feeling about the Illinois game? Because we've had mixed levels of optimism here.
I just have a nightmare from last year and how we lost on the field goal. I'm hoping it's not going to be like that, but I'm just going to say we'll all.
You're thinking a couple years ago. Last year, Illinois destroyed us.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Yeah,
yep.
I had nightmares of that game. I don't want that to happen again. But I'm guessing they play us really hard. I'm guessing it's going to be low scoring.
Yeah, I think it's going to be low scoring too. And I mean, it's Bielema is on that side. Aaron Henry's on that side. Jim Leonhard's on that side. No one's going to tell me it's not personal for that group. I don't care what people say.
It's plenty personal. There's a lot of people out there that want to beat us. And look, Illinois looks up at Wisconsin as we're their aspiration. We're what they want to be. We've been a team that has consistently won games for many years in a row. We've been one of the top teams as far as overall wins. We've won the Big Ten West several times, and that's what they've always wanted. They're not quite there yet, which is why last year was such a massive step for them, and they kicked our teeth in. And let's call it what it is. We need revenge on these guys. It's time to go there and show Bret Bielema that we're still the better team. And yeah, I mean, it's last year was, I called it it's the rock bottom point of our program. I mean, there's really not a time, and you look at the last since before Barry Alvarez, you can't look at a time and be like, boy, this was really the low point. That was the Illinois game last year. So we owe them, and we need to serve it up.
Mark, give me your score prediction for this game.
24-21 with a great field goal by Vacos.
Let's go. I'll take that.
24-21. There you go.
All right, Mark, thank you so much, man. I'm going to get to John next. As always welcome to jump on whenever you want to. John, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah, happy to be on. I had a question, actually, for you guys. What's your hope for the rest of I look at the rest of the season as I just want to see development and getting better, because we're not going to win the West anyway, and I expect to be in a bowl game. who cares what games you win or don't win as much as like how you look and the improvement that you see.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's a fair point because the West is probably lost. Now, it's not entirely lost. Let's hold on a little bit of hope, but probably lost. But yeah, I agree. I want to see improvement. I've said multiple times that I feel like you got it. If you want to be playing your best ball at the end of the year, you got to improve every single week. Now, we took a step back last week, so I do want to see us get better. I really want to see what Braedyn Locke has because he's going to be our quarterback next year, barring anything crazy. So yeah, I mean, it's important to see what we're doing to throw in new wrinkles and to develop new players. Maybe we see some freshmen like Jamel Howard or Nate White or Tresh Kakahuna. Maybe we see some of these guys, but what I want to see is good performances. I want to be excited every week. I don't want to see a 6-point drubbing by Iowa because we can't get off the field. We can't do anything offensively. That's what I don't want to see. I want to enjoy watching the game. So even if we're not going to win the West, and even if we're not going to finish in a great New Year's Bowl game, I want to see us play well and get better to where at the end of the year, I can look back and say, all right, we took steps in the right direction. I'm super excited for next year. That's what I want to get out of this now.
I would echo a lot of that, with also the exception of I have to beat Minnesota, right? So
Yes.
all of that, I have to beat. I can't swear on this show. I have to beat Minnesota this year. I'm sorry. I have to do it. I even bought something for the game last year that I was going to parade around. I couldn't do anyway.
Don't even say it.
I'm going to do it this year. Long story short. So to me, the biggest things is I want to see who are the building blocks for next year. You mentioned Braedyn Locke, Rasheed. I want to see, is he the quarterback for next year? I think this is a great, in a way, I would never want Tanner Mordecai to get hurt, but I think this is a great potential, fork in the road where the staff can now evaluate Braedyn Locke with live bullets for 6-7 games, right? Is he the guy next year? Because if he doesn't play well, we're right back in the portal, 100%. And we're going to find a new quarterback, in my opinion, in the portal, because I don't think you're going to trust Mabry Mettoyer or Braedyn Locke, who didn't play well enough this year to be that guy next year. So I think, can we figure out who the quarterback is for next year? And then let's identify, are these tackles good enough to play on this offensive line in more of a spread system? Is, Jackson Akers, can he be a number 2 running back, or do we really need these freshmen to all come in and play? Who's the receivers are going to be that top 3 line next year, right? That, I think it's, what are the building blocks? And I'm going to be a fanboy for a second because I also am not 100% sure the West is gone. I think John, you're the realistic and the most. You're probably almost certainly right, but I haven't lost that little sliver of hope either, just because I am a hopeless optimist.
Honestly, though, you just hit on exactly what I have been interested in, which is as this week has progressed, and I have compartmentalized Mordecai's injury, which I do not ever want anyone to be injured, but specifically our quarterback. I think our entire offense is easier to evaluate potentially with Locke as quarterback. I think our wide receivers are. I think our offensive line is. And more specifically, I think our offensive coordinator might be easier to evaluate with Locke as quarterback instead of Mordecai. And if the Iowa loss is a move on to evaluation mode and getting ready for next year, the Illini game is really the first time that we're going to be evaluating things on a different level. And I think that's an important thing to do. We're going to be evaluating people, I think, a little bit more truer to how the system was made. You're not going to have people that are kind of overcoming maybe some shortcomings from other people with their legs, and kind of a veteran savvy that we would have otherwise not had. But I think you can make all the throws that you need to make in the system. I think you can process everything quickly. And you're going to get a really good read on our receivers. And you're going to get maybe potentially a better read on our offensive coordinator, the play calling. Mm-hmm. I think you might get a better read on the offensive line in general as well.
I think you're just really quick then I'll kick it to you, because there's one little point in there I thought you made that's really good. You talked about the legs bailing out the offensive line a little bit at times. I think Mordecai did that with some of the pressures that he was able to escape, step in, get out of. The offensive line now has to play cleaner. They just have to, because Locke's not a statue. He's not Stave, but he's not Tanner Mordecai either. He's somewhere in between those two, in my opinion. So I think it's a really good point on the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing I'm concerned about, and I think you're right about Locke being able to make the throws, and I've said that, and it's an interesting point that you said that we'll evaluate our receivers more. My concern is that will the offensive line give him a chance to do that? I think because if the offensive line can play just proper, like they don't need to be amazing, they just need to be good enough, then I think you're right. Then we can absolutely get a really good sense of what Locke can do and what the receivers can do, because he's going to make those throws. But if the offensive line is going to keep him on the run and where he can't focus his eyes downfield, and he's going to have to be looking at where he can escape and not really being able to settle himself, that's where I think we're going to be at a disadvantage, and we're not going to be able to have that because we don't have Mordecai's legs. So to me, it all hinges on the line. But I think you make a really good point about being able to evaluate the receivers, especially
probably for those 50-50 balls. Like, if he wasn't going to throw the 50-50 balls, and you need to know who can catch them, you need to be able to throw them, or at least be willing to throw them.
You're so right about that. And we need to throw these things. I was at the Purdue game. If you guys probably heard me say this, DK was open 3 times on that ball that he ended up going down the left side, and he needs to throw it more. And I think Locke is going to throw it, which is great. And we need that because we brought in Bryson Green in order to catch those 50-50 balls. That's the reason he's here. So I want to see more of that. And I hope that we do. And maybe, we've talked about all year about how we haven't really seen downfield passing. Maybe this is really what we need. Maybe the Locke is going to be the guy to unlock what we're doing.
Nice. What a pro move.
I use that in the intro to the Bucky Report this week, if anybody watched it.
What a pro move. I will say this too, it's not the unbiased, it's not by any stretch of the imagination an unbiased interview, talking to his high school coach, right? Coach Brooks over at Rockwell. Yeah. Anyway, still coming out of that interview, I was very impressed by everything Coach had to say about both the Locks. I think younger Locke is going to be a potential superstar, right? He's wired like Braedyn, but he's bigger. And everything he said about Braedyn makes me think this moment is not in any way, shape, or form going to be too big. He's not going to make some of the traditional redshirt freshman mistakes that other guys do. And he's a guy that he set the Texas 6A passing record for touchdowns. Like, for those, that is the highest level of Texas football. That's an incredible record to set for a high school quarterback. So he can absolutely fling it, and he's been prepared. Those are his hallmarks: accuracy and being prepared. So, it's not going to surprise me if he throws for 250 and it's a really good game. It's also not going to surprise me if he throws for 140 and he loses 2 fumbles. But
let's just hope he doesn't fumble the ball and turn it over, because if he turns it over, we're going to be in trouble.
They're going to blitz, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you? They're going to bring everything all the time. That might lead to a lot of passing yards, to be completely honest with you. It's going to open some things up, and for a quarterback that's not willing, or that is willing to take shots downfield, you might see a lot more explosive plays, partially because of what he does, but also partially just because the defense is going to play him a little bit differently.
John, what's your score prediction in this one? Where's your gut got you?
My gut says if it's a close game that we're going to lose it. And I hate to say that, but that is just, we have not won a lot of close games.
True.
But I also think that there is a possibility that we absolutely just blow them out. And since I'm an optimist, I don't know if after hearing your basketball take, Rajiv, I can't ever say I'm as much of an optimist as you are.
It is. He's not going to become him. It's just the style.
From the mega version of him.
I'm telling you, just But yes,
I hope you save that quote, Ryan. That's for going forward. That's a keeper. Yeah, I do think there's a chance we blow them out, and so you know what I'll say. I'm gonna have us by 14 points. I don't even know beginning and end scores, but I'm gonna put us by 14 points because I want to be an optimist. I want to look good, and honestly, I do. I think we're gonna win some big places this week.
I will say, John, like your point about close games and us losing it, that just, it stings, because you're right. Like if it's a really close game, similar to the Iowa game for so long, especially with an inexperienced quarterback, we probably are going to lose. And that is painful, because to me, there's nothing worse than losing a close game. I hate losing close games. And, there was just, I don't know. I would like to think that you're wrong about that we can win a close game, but that is concerning. And it's something that I really, really hope you're wrong about.
Well, you had a stretch where we've struggled in. I mean, listen, we've beaten bad teams in close games, which is almost worse too. Like Nebraska last year, Army 20-14, right? Those shouldn't even be close games. So we haven't beat a lot of good teams in close games, which is the problem.
Well, just because we're bad at close games now doesn't mean we will be forever. Like, at the end of the day, if you look at our two deep, we are not old. Certainly not as old as you would think a normal Wisconsin team would be, right? You have a couple graduating players, but not that many. What? A Gard? DK is a senior, but I think does he have a year of eligibility left if he wanted to do it?
I think he still has COVID year.
Yeah. So what you have one guy that's for sure leaving, and then you might have some guys that, Braylon Allen might go pro and all that stuff. But you have a lot of guys that you could keep. It takes a while to learn how to win, especially in the Big Ten. So,
guys, I want to throw this comment up here while I got all four of you on. And feel free, everybody, if you guys need to drop, just because you're up, if you got to go, no worries. Let me throw this comment up here. It was, I lost it. I apologize. There you go. Losing games to Bielema last year, Watson twice, Jalen Berger, Deacon Hill. I am tired of losing to ex-Badgers. We cannot drop another game to Bielema and now Jim Leonhard. We lost.
I don't even want to think about that. It's just the idea of losing to Illinois is painful.
And I'll say it like this: like, are we really that upset that we have to roll with Braedyn Locke and I was rolling with Deacon Hill? I mean, come on, let's be honest. Who's really more upset in that equation?
I mean, I'd feel better if we won, though.
Yeah.
Well, true. I'm just saying, looking forward,
Deacon Hill.
I'm not trying to relive the past. I'm moving forward. We're on to bigger, better things now. So
here's the thing: if they all transferred to Ohio State or were coaching Ohio State and you lost, would you feel that bad? Probably not. They're going to programs you should be beating, and you're still losing, and that's the problem.
Yep, that's the point. This is from Bob Milborn. Criticism about overhyping the Badgers at the beginning of the year should be directed at Justin and Ryan and Rossieff. Bob, his name is Rajiv, bro.
Well, it's not on the screen, so maybe that. Yeah, look, we definitely did overhype the Badgers. There's no doubt about that. But as Ryan and I always say, we are fans. For fans first. If you're listening to this, you're a fan. If you're on this call, these guys John and Curtis, they're fans. I believe this is what sports is to me. I want to believe. And John, you brought up something I wanted to circle back on this. You brought up what we're expecting kind of going forward. Let me tell you something that I want. Like Illinois, this is a big game for us because Ryan and I and Justin are going to be in Madison next week. I want to have some excitement going into the Ohio State game because looking at our entire schedule, other than Minnesota, of course, the Ohio State game is the biggest game we have left. And I want to enjoy that. And I want to have some shred of hope going into that game that we might actually be able to upset them. And if we lose to Illinois, all hope is lost. My mood next week is going to be brutal. And I don't want that. So what I want is to get a win this weekend so we can actually spend next week talking about the potential of what could happen if we actually beat Ohio State. I know that's far-fetched. I'm not going to predict a win over Ohio State at all, but sure would be. No, I will not. But it sure would be exciting to actually have that. And that's why the Iowa loss really hurt me last week because it ripped away that chance of us going against undefeated in the Big Ten, them being undefeated and having that big clash. We would have been ranked, no doubt. And that's gone away, but at least give us this Illinois win to have a little bit of hope going into Ohio State.
You can't limp into Ohio State, right? Like you need to have some momentum. Seth Osteen said this weekend will be the downward spiral for the Badger season. And then
Seth, by the way, who's on in this show, he comes on the Bucky Report. So thank you for your contributions. He is one of these guys that says 6-6. I know Seth believes we're going to be 6-6. We are not going to be 6-6, Seth. You have to believe.
I started laughing at this one. Ryan Eiler says, shout out Rossi for his belief with Rossi.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know where that name came from. A couple more comments here, guys, I want to get into. This one, Rajiv, you and I have talked about this a lot, but this is from David B. Curious kind of where Curtis and John are at this. Oh, that's not the right one. I'm all crazy. He said, looking from a fan perspective, Big Ten expansion, this will be the beginning of Wisconsin being a middling program at best standings-wise, minor bowls from here on out. The comment was longer, but he went on to say this is basically where Wisconsin gets lumped going forward into the Purdues, the Illinois, the Iowas, because the expansion is going to be too difficult.
Well, I think it's actually funny because it was in the one you put today with the Illinois guy. I don't think that's sustainable in terms of I don't think the administrations of such proud organizations, not just including Wisconsin, but in general, are going to be content with that. I think you're going to see a shift to a larger conference, more money, but then even kind of whittle it down into like pods where you have a champion of a pod, maybe a play into the Big Ten championship game. Because, I mean, the Big Ten represents some of the most financially wealthy institutions in the country with some of the largest fan bases in the country. They're not going to be content with letting Ohio State and Michigan run. And then you add Washington and Oregon, like in this group. I still think Michigan and Ohio State are the two best teams in the conference. Are all of these organizations, USC, all these organizations are going to be content with being average? I think something's going to change that allows there to be more parity similar to what we've seen in years previous. And maybe that's the 12-team playoff. But I don't see that being all these teams being mid being a sustainable model. I just don't really see that being the future of the Big Ten. Same with the SEC. I don't know how you can have all of these teams who care so much about what they do. Are they just going to routinely fire a coach every 3 years and just be in a spiral of sadness? Or are they going to create something different, like kind of what we've seen recently, where now we have a 12-team playoff, which is born about because a lot of teams feel they're not able to get into the 4-team playoff. Like, are we going to see something change that gives these teams more to play for in the future? That's kind of where I see it going.
So I'm high on the Big Ten. I'm high on the Big Ten like Rajiv's high on Badgers basketball. Economically, I don't think we're going to dominate the Pac-12 and the ACC. I think we're going to dominate the SEC. Economically speaking, that's where things go. And I don't think necessarily that the SEC has fully understood that this is a business yet. This is a national business. This is about money. Football gets you money. And it took the Big Ten a little bit probably of time to realize you need to be good at football. But
I think COVID expedited that, to your point.
Absolutely. But there's not an easy – Ryan, you were not real big on Washington and Oregon coming into the Big Ten. I was from a very different standpoint than you were not, which was I don't want the SEC having any footprint on the West Coast. Because if we own the West Coast and then we're going to make our way down the East Coast. Now, whether that's just Miami or just whatever it is, we're going to end up going down that East Coast as well. And I don't think they can compete with, economically speaking, with a coast-to-coast conference that hits those types of markets. We're going to take the best coaches. And those NIL deals, the SEC is willing to finance things as a charity. Charity lasts only so long. And eventually economic reality is going to happen where you can just flat out make more money in real economic dollars going coast to coast, LA, New York, everything in between, Miami. And we're going to be able to do that, and the SEC is not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And I'm going to just responding to this question here, the middling thing. This comment would have been correct, in my opinion, would have been correct before Luke Fickell. That's the difference going forward, is that we have a guy that took Cincinnati to the playoffs and has pedigree of Ohio State football and everything that he's done and he's built. That's why we're not going to be middling in the at best standings wise per this comment. That's the difference here. And yeah, the expansion does make that hard, and that's true. But as to John's point, it's good for the Big Ten from an economic standpoint. It's good from the Big Ten from a recruiting standpoint, from a national brand standpoint. And I agree with what Curtis said as well about, like they will make a system to make it to add some parity to it, because you can't just have the two teams dominating every year. That will change. But Luke Fickell is our X factor. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't do what we think he's going to do. But this year, yes, we overhyped it, but this is a step. This is a stepping stone. We're going to keep getting better with Luke Fickell. I absolutely believe it. I've said it before, and I hope other Badger fans believe. I think he will lead us to a national title at some point in his tenure. I really believe that, to the very least, to the playoff for sure. And I think we will win a title with him. But that's the difference because of him.
Yeah.
See, but even if he doesn't, don't you feel like we're going to invest the money necessarily that the next coach isn't going to be a bargain coach, even if we don't stick with him forever?
You're absolutely
We're
right.
going to go get that guy.
And that's because of McIntosh, right? McIntosh is taking that bar up.
And also, I'll say Mnookin is funny. One of the first meetings I've ever seen with her in it, she was so adamant about having a really good football team. That was like one of the main things she talked about, which was wild because academics at Wisconsin has always been the antithesis to the athletic department. That's been going on for forever. But once Mnookin came in, this was post-COVID, I think she saw, being from the LA market, but then also seeing like what Saban did for the athletic department. Now Colorado's doing Deion Sanders is doing for Colorado. The monetary value and the improvement to the university, the increase in applications, like all those things going into it, which as an aside, I don't know if any of you know this, Wisconsin's actually at its highest student count in school history. It's over 50,000 now from grads and undergrad. Yeah, that's I learned that last week, so I'm not trying to act like I knew that. It's just something that was interesting. But again, like having a really a strong athletic department spearheaded by the football team is such a draw to people coming to the school in general. And now that I think the leader of the academic portion of that school recognized that and is hand in hand with McIntosh on this, I think, to your point, like we're only going to continue to make investments that are going to improve our program.
Yeah, and that's such a good point because it's forward thinking, right? It's alignment, right? When you look at all the best companies, organizations anywhere, they have alignment from the top all the way through the bottom. And having that alignment, I don't feel like we always had that in the last 5, 10, 15 years, right? It felt like at times academics and athletics were not adversaries, but a little at each other's throats a little bit. And
again, I think I go back to I genuinely believe COVID was sort of the impetus for this, because when you remove a football season and all that revenue into your school is just gone, and I think I think it was a big eye-opening moment, especially for the Big Ten. I think they realized, holy crap, we just lost a bunch of money, and that's not good. That's not good for us. So, I think that was kind of the moment that you started to see the paradigm shift within the Big Ten. At least that's my perspective. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but that's kind of how I saw it.
Let's wrap it up here because we're coming up on an hour, and you guys are amazing. We got people watching, people chatting, people jumping on the show. This community is incredible, and I thank you guys so much for being a part of it, everybody. We will be going to Ohio State. For everybody who's going to the Ohio State game, Justin will be there, Rajiv will be there, I'll be there. I think we have a tailgate we're going to be going to. We're going to try to do a meetup on Friday. Definitely let us know. We're going to get details out on the Discord, but I say that because we don't really know them yet. So we'll have to figure out the details, and then we'll get the details out. Guys, let's wrap it up around the horn here. Give me one player that it isn't being talked about a lot. So not Braedyn Locke or Braylon Allen. One player that's going to help decide the Illinois game.
I'm going to go Jackson Aker. I think that we need to see more carries out of him because we know that Allen he's not healthy enough to get 25, 30 carries a game. I think that imposing our will on this game is super important. We need to dominate, similar to what we did at Purdue. We dominated early because we ran the ball, and we said that we set up to them and said, look, we're not going to take it. We're going to impose our will on you. So I think Jackson Aker is going to be a big part of it because he needs to spread the carries out. So that's the guy that I think will have maybe a breakout game for him.
That's going.
I'm going to say Will Pauling. We need a wide receiver that can break a tackle in space. I think people need to be able to respect short passes from us, and we've just gone down every time we've got hit the first time. I think he's the most likely to make someone miss and have a long run. I think we need to put it on film.
I'm going to go, I don't know if this is a breakout, but I'm going to go Rico Hallman. I think that Luke Altmaier puts enough balls in the air. He's not incredibly accurate at all times. I think we're going to have opportunities to come up in the air and take it down. I think, Rico's going to do a great job of coverage in this game. And I think he's got opportunity to make a couple interceptions.
I'm going to go Preston Zachman. So I'm staying in the secondary, but Listen, we have to tackle well. Illinois I almost went Cheney too. Illinois is a physical running game. We have to tackle well. We have to be sound. Our safeties have to be sound on the road, not give up big plays. We can't give up big plays in this game. I think if we do that on the back end and we're solid, I think we're going to win. So, yeah, go ahead.
Can I say one more quick thing? If you listen to the Bucky Report this week, we talked about it. It was our number one big thing. After last week, the number one thing we need is heart. We need to show up and be ready to play. Heart, our dedication, because we got kicked in the mouth last week, and now we're going on the road. It's not going to be easy. We need to show up from an effort standpoint, and that will absolutely take us over the line because we are the more talented team. We need to show up to play tomorrow, otherwise we will get beat.
And make sure you go check out Rajiv Justin on the Bucky Report as well. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Hopefully we have a good reaction therapy show. Hopefully we beat Illinois. I do want to take us out on this comment from Rajiv.
Hold on. That is not what I said. See, this is now going to get twisted. I'm going to be getting emails from people saying, hey, you think, no, that is not what I said. You take that out.
You should send that to Sports Center.
Right. Oh, man. Anyway, he did not say that. It's a bit of a hyperbole on my, but those two should not be in the same sentence is my point.
Well, whatever. The skills can translate.
Anyway, on Wisconsin, John, Curtis, Mark, and Robert, and everyone else that jumped in as well. Thank you guys so much. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. We'll talk after the game for sure. Win or lose, we're always here.